If you grew up with an original Xbox, you really had it bad when it came to wrestling games. While PlayStation was getting bangers like the SmackDown series and SmackDown vs. Raw, the original Xbox was getting games like WWF Raw, Raw 2, and WrestleMania 21, the video game. WrestleMania 21 being the game I want to talk about today. WrestleMania 21 was not a very good game, and after watching this video, you'll quickly learn why. The gameplay felt slow and clunky, the controls were super unresponsive, and this game overall was just a broken mess. So in this video, I wanted to talk about all those things and really answer the question as to what made WrestleMania 21 such a bad game. WrestleMania 21 was released on April 20th, 2005, just 17 days after the actual WrestleMania 21 pay-per-view had taken place. As I said, the game was an Xbox exclusive, which was probably for the best as it limited the number of people who were really going to play this garbage. The game was developed by a company called Studio Gigante, and if you don't know who they are, that's because WrestleMania 21 was actually the last game they ever developed. Besides this game, the only other thing they made was a game called Tao Fang Fist of the Lotus. Yeah, it's no wonder they shut down. Even back in 2005, WrestleMania 21 was not received very well and would end up being forgotten about. Now, am I really about to tear into a game that's close to 20 years old? Yeah, but the game is so bad that I have no idea what else I'm supposed to do. So without further ado, let me tell you why this game plays like ass. WrestleMania 21 has the worst gameplay I've ever seen in a wrestling game. When I play any sort of wrestling game, the one thing I expect from the gameplay is for it to be fast and responsive, and this is where WrestleMania 21 fails as a wrestling game because it's neither fast or responsive. The whole time I was playing, it felt like the game was in slow motion. I would go to strike my opponent, only for them to somehow strike me back in the process, allowing them to take full control of the match while I just sat there hoping that I would find an opportunity to fight back. Actually playing a match all the way through just did not feel very good, and by the end of each match I played, my hands just felt cramped. Everything in this game requires some weird button combination like finishers requiring you to press A and B at the same time. Every finisher in this game has this weird camera angle and a weird color effect to it, which just does not look great in my opinion. It doesn't make the finishers feel any more impactful like the special camera angles from SVR. If you couldn't tell already, I just do not like the way the finishers work in this game. The weird A and B button combination makes pulling off a finisher feel tedious and clunky, and I'm just not a big fan of the weird color changing camera angle effect. Speaking of this game being tedious, doing anything in this game felt like a chore. Even doing basic things like running felt super tedious since you're not able to turn. This makes running attacks more difficult to pull off, which can lead to some pretty frustrating moments. Now, one thing I will say that I did like about the gameplay was the reversal mechanic. WrestleMania 21's biggest feature was the addition of the Pro Reversal system. Essentially, you use the left trigger to reverse strikes and the right trigger to reverse grapples. The whole Pro Reversal thing doesn't feel like a gimmick either, as the mechanic actually lives up to its name. It really does require a bit of skill to pull off a reversal since you have to be super precise with your timing. Yeah, it's weird at first when you're first playing the game, but once you get used to it, it does start to feel pretty normal. The biggest problem I have with the gameplay is that every superstar feels the exact same. Rey Mysterio played exactly like Christian, and Undertaker played exactly like Batista. Aside from the finishers, everybody feels like they have the same moveset. I don't know why this is the case, but it's just something I noticed while playing and something that kind of bothered me a little bit. Overall, the gameplay is very bare bones. The only other mechanic that I can think of that this game has that I want to bring up is the ability to call an outside interference by clicking down on the left stick. Now, that's a cool mechanic that I'd like to see come back in the newer games. It's just a shame I didn't really get to use it much when playing the game for this video. Other than that though, this game doesn't really have any big gameplay elements to it, and it was just not fun at all. This might be the first wrestling game I've ever played that has nearly put me to sleep with how boring it was. WrestleMania 21 isn't even fun bad either, it's just not good at all. Despite the issues with the gameplay, it's obvious they wanted this game's gameplay to be good, but it feels like a lot of the effort went into the Pro Reversal mechanic, and as a result, it makes the rest of the gameplay feel half-assed. Then yes, I get the game is almost 20 years old, but when there's games like WrestleMania 19 and SmackDown vs. Raw, they're slightly older than this game and play significantly better, this game just ends up looking worse. Now visually, I think the game looks pretty alright. The superstar models look insane, especially for 2005, and every arena looks pretty fantastic. The only thing I dislike about this game's visuals is the renders and the roster screen. They use in-game models, but Jesus Christ do they look weird. Big Show looks like he wants to kill you, and Triple H looks like he doesn't even want to be in the game. Then there's Tajiri. He's just happy to be there. Well, the gameplay might not be all that great, but at least the roster and arena selection is pretty good. This game features a variety of superstars who were around at the time of this game's release, as well as a decent amount of legends. The tagline of this game was "Become a legend" after all, so I'd expect there to be quite a bit of legends in this game. How will you become a legend? Some of the legends featured in this game consist of Andre the Giant, Mankind, as well as Bret Hart. I would say this game's roster is its biggest strength because of the amount of legends it has, and because the roster in 2004 was pretty stacked with guys like Cena, Orton, Batista, and Taker, just to name a few. The arena selection was also pretty good, as it featured just about every show and pay-per-view from 2004's playable arenas. The last thing I want to talk about before I move into the career mode is the match types, because there's a good amount of them in this game. Too bad they're all ass. Hell in a Cell matches aren't very fun, as you can't really do much in them. As far as I can tell, there's no way to actually leave the cell, so it just makes for a boring experience. Ladder matches aren't very exciting, as the AI will always try and tug the championship down no matter what, which doesn't make for a very good match, as you have to constantly knock your opponent off the ladder since he won't do anything else, and standard one-on-one matches are an absolute snooze fest. Now, of course, you have your other standard match types like Last Man Standing, Fatal 4-Way, Bra and Panty, you know, the usual. Overall, to round out this part of the video, I have to say the roster is all around solid, the arena selection is pretty good for what it's worth, and the selection of match types isn't horrible, albeit with the match types being pretty boring. Now, at this point, I already have a headache from playing this game, and after playing the career mode, or should I say the first 10 minutes of it, yeah, my headache has gotten worse. I will say, the career mode does have full voice acting and lasts 52 weeks, which is quite a while. Essentially, you make your custom superstar and go from there. Your first match is on Velocity with Rene Dupree, and you're tasked with having to beat him in 3 minutes. And this is where I gave up, because with how bad this game controls, coupled with the terrible gameplay, I was not beating him in 3 minutes. I'm sure the career mode is good and all, and trust me, I tried to play it, but I just can't do it. I'm sorry, it's not happening. So how about I talk about the bugs and glitches instead? Like I said at the beginning of this video, this game is broken. The biggest bug I encountered while playing this game was anytime a match ended, the game would just freeze and turn into a choppy mess during the transition into the replays. Another bug I encountered was attacks just not registering for some reason. I feel it's largely down to the animations, as whenever you try and attack someone while they're in the middle of an animation, nothing will happen. Look, this is fine, only problem is, it only seems to happen when you attack the AI. If the AI attacks you while you're in an animation, their attack will register for some reason. Speaking of the AI, this game has some of the worst AI I have ever seen. They're super aggressive to the point where it makes the game less fun. You never have a second to recover, so when you get knocked down, you're pretty much screwed for the rest of the match. Now, it could be a skill issue on my part, but man, this game is hard. Well, with that out of the way, what else is left for me to talk about? This game at Xbox Live supports, so let's check that out. Never mind. Overall, WrestleMania 21 is not very good. It makes me kinda glad this game didn't work when I wanted to put it in my WrestleMania games video back in April. It's a sorry excuse for a wrestling game, and I don't see myself ever playing this again. The gameplay is boring, the bugs absolutely ruin the game, and the career mode is bogged down by this game's own god-awful mechanics. You also may have noticed that there wasn't very many jokes in this video. That's a really cool side effect of playing WrestleMania 21 for the Xbox. You lose any sense of joy you once had.